Sunfire, the Solar Samurai. Sunfire, dubbed as Japan's greatest superhero, a being born in Japan, a being that got his mutant power triggered or awakened by a nuclear bomb, the residual energy of a nuclear bomb that already went down. It's because of this on why he became an energy projector. All because he had revisited the Hiroshima bombing. Him touching the very soil on which it happened triggered it. They say the reason why this triggered it is because it was dormant. There was a big chunk of time where he vowed to get revenge or avenge the people that had been done wrong. In his eyes, he got hidden hours of practice and training because he can charge the power of the sun itself. Of course, like many characters in Marvel, he's went on plenty of different adventures, different outfits. He's gotten power armor, containment armor, costumes throughout the time. Even his costume is made out of special stuff, unstable molecules. Due to his mutation, he can fly. He can ionize matter to create superheated plasma of about 1 million degrees Fahrenheit. He can choose whether to release it from his entire body, but he uses it as blast from his hands. He absorbs solar and electromagnetic radiation to recharge. Yeah, he can literally absorb your heat weapons, which would pretty much make your abilities useless or even power him up. Like, we literally see it happen in comics on how he can absorb solar energy. He can see into the infrared spectrum. We actually see it happen in comics. He can detect thermal readings. He generates a psionic force field that protects him from the heat and radiation of his own powers, as well as outside forces. In a weird way, all this heat manipulation is kind of a way for him to have extra durability because for the most part, he's so hot that before the bullets can even reach them, their auras alone is incinerating the bullets before it can actually hit their skin. In a weird way, you could say this is like Hexy durability. And when it comes to his heat, he doesn't have the same weakness as the Human Torch, like squirting him with water. They even bring up the Human Torch here, saying he's different. Sunfire's power is internal. I do want to make something clear about Human Torch. In more recent stuff, this is not like a main weakness for him anymore. During these older comics, this would be like a weakness, but Human Torch has kind of evolved. But I just wanted to mention that so people won't lowball Human Torch either. All right, back to Sunfire now. Just by being near these guns, they ain't working right. If you're going to fight this guy, you better be immune to all forms of heat. Because if not, even if you're miraculously stronger than him, if you're not immune to heat, he can hurt you that way. He doesn't necessarily need blunt or concussive force to damage you. I mean, just look on the billion occasions on how he treats steel. He can blind all these people by producing too much light, even for them. And the funny thing about him, he can blind people. And if you try to do this light stuff to him, guess what? You can't blind him. He even makes a joke saying, why don't you try to shine a flashlight into a furnace? Emit light bursts, can do some low-key hypnotism that triggers parts of the brain controlling hunger to make some people feel hungry, even though they're really not. This hunger flashing light that he can make people hungry with, we actually see him use this kind of technique in comics, so it's not just something they state in the guidebook about tricking people to thinking they're actually hungry. He has the kind of abilities where he doesn't need fighting skills, but he's trained still and is a skilled martial artist, trained in karate and other things. That's evident when you see him box being groups of people. It's even talked about how he doesn't have his power, but he can still deal with them. I mean, you know he got to be able to fight, right? Rogue even talks about how X-Men characters get martial arts training, but even she says she's an amateur compared to Sunfire. His crazy uncle trained him around the clock since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. Very young training. I'm talking about without legs. You can get an idea of his fighting skills, and you can get an idea of his raw physical strength, too. You see how he punches people. Even being at a disadvantage, we've seen him do a Goldberg spear to Storm, but he has a lot of blunt concussive blast power on top of this, and surprisingly, he's really precise with it. Like, he can legit melt your gun without harming the person holding the gun at all. That's pretty precise. The comics even narrate on how he can wield such flame with crazy precision, because it looked like he blasted everywhere. It looks like everybody got murked when nobody got murked. Folks even said he's showing off, and they talk about how his flame was hot enough to crystallize the entire room, but contain the heat from evaporating them. Sabretooth's skin he can blast off. When you see visual occasions like this, it just confirms he can blast down your house. I guess you can get an idea of his atomic flame based on how big of the constructs he can make. Without sugarcoating anything, he has the blast power or can make constructs with enough blunt concussive force to blow down buildings. He can absorb and blast out the equivalent energy of power needed to blow away buildings. Look at the size of the explosions he can make. Look at these insanely large blasts. Look what happens when he wants to just fly through a base. If you're still not convinced, look what he literally does to a big chunk of a skyscraper building. He can blast away buildings, y'all. Look what he's done to, like, big monsters. Like, in this particular situation, look at the area. You telling me he couldn't blow away a building or two? Or the block? Proof his energy blasts are blunt. He can overpower blunt energy blasts from Cyclops. I mean, sure, you can burn Cyclops. You can't burn his actual energy beams, the optic blast. So it had to be blunt concussive power to blast something back at him. Cyclops saying his powers are blocking out his, but just barely. There's implications Sunfire can do more than just blow away buildings. He can ignite the atmosphere itself. There's implications that Sunfire can blow away even mountains, considering there was this occasion where there was millions of tons of metal hurtling towards a city, narrated more than once to be million tons. But when it comes to this Solar Samurai I've been going over today, he proved to have enough raw energy or blast power to vaporize this millions of tons of metal in a pretty much instant before it threatened the whole place. So he had to do it pretty quick. Stuff like this kind of proves with his energy projection he can vaporize mountains, but still, when you analyze this feat, it's actually more impressive when you realize all of this that was falling, according to Thor, would have leveled the city if it wasn't for Sunfire. So this right here proves Sunfire is scarier than nuclear bombs. This was such a crazy impact that Thor himself even narrates in this comic what he would have had to do if it wasn't for Sunfire. I'm assuming the object is large, but I'm assuming the reason why it was so devastating to even a city is because of the speed of which it was falling down. You gotta remember that this was a mile-wide piece of wreckage. Thor said that the Thunderbolt needed to incinerate something like this would have been enough power to level the city itself, but yet we saw Sunfire do this without Thor's help. Vaporizing it. There's a difference between breaking something into pieces and vaporizing it. Sunfire vaporizes it. Millions of tons of metal, a mile-wide structure Sunfire had to vaporize, and he saved the day. No casualties thanks to him. Yeah, he's literally a walking thermonuclear bomb. Look at this kind of blast power, and look at the explosion compared to the island. Like, this occasion really puts home on what I said about him being scared of nuclear bombs. I mean, look at this radius. Narrated on how he can envelop the entire city within the heat of his atomic flame, and he actually does so. That's a lot of heat manipulation, because he's dubbed as a thermonuclear mutant. He's actually clashed with this being known as the living lightning based on statements when it comes to his blast power, because it's stated that he can produce energy to punch through a planetoid. These can vary in sizes, so I guess this doesn't confirm it all the way, but there's implications. It's a possibility, you could say. Could this prove he's a planet shatterer? I have a lot of respect for Iron Man. The fact that he was helpful on taking out his being known as Ultimo shows his blast, and that he's not dead weight. He's not just a glass cannon. Like, we've seen him literally getting punched by Iron Man tears, like in the face. His durability or psionic field or shielding can help him stand up from these blows. His blast seemed to do some kind of damage to Apocalypse's armor. I guess that's something you got to put in consideration. Apocalypse is a ridiculously high-end powerhouse in Marvel. It's these hexy abilities, like being able to blind beings temporarily. Like, this even works on higher end powerhouses like Namor temporarily. You can blind them. It's even talked about here when it comes to battling Namor. He's like a hexy opponent against Namor. His intense heat absorbs his strength, giving moisture. Dehydrating must-reach water implies that he's a hexy counter against Namor because of this ion field. Like, he does have a hex against Namor, but for some reason, we've actually seen him get hit with blunt strikes and not be down for the count. Even other Atlanteans hit him, he's not down for the count. You can look at it like his psionic field absorbs any blow his armor can't in this particular situation. Iron Man straight up admitted if he gets hit once in this particular situation, he would be dead from Sunfire's blast. More implications that he could be a powerhouse based on his energy projection and how potent his blasts are based on his battle feats and the stuff you see him do. He can just absorb a lot. He absorbed the celestial cosmic energy himself along with somebody else. It was a risk that it might destroy them. So I wouldn't say this is a temporary power. This is just the energy absorption feat. It was this occasion with Kang. He was absorbing the life energies of a celestial. This is more implications that he's a powerhouse. Like, you already know Kang's a powerhouse based on his tech. Like, Kang legit thought not even his mutated cells could process the raw cosmic power, but he sorely underestimated Sunfire to where he gets to this form where he's way more powered up beyond belief, doing major damage to Kang with his blast. I mean, I wouldn't doubt him being a powerhouse. He is dubbed as a living star. We've seen him tackle Wonder Man out of the sky. Suspicious occasions like punching out Rogue and Beast to show he has superhuman punching power. It doesn't even seem he's spamming energy projection here until he busts out the window. There's beings that can briefly restrain, the poster boy of raw power and strength. Like, their energy projection can hold the hope for a second or two before he actually breaks out. Darkstar, for example. The fact that Sunfire is facing off against the same being that can make giant hand dark force constructs, get contained by this dark energy that's technically his kryptonite that neutralizes light energies and dispatching them into another dimension. The fact he still can bust free of this restraint from her saying the Dark Force cannot contain this opponent's power. Does this imply he's a heavy hitter when it comes to his energy projection? What do you think about this? I do want to make it clear, when the Hulk broke out, she did get knocked out. So I'm not saying she's necessarily equal to Hulk in blunt power or nothing, but I still think it's cool she did this. She did contain this many powerhouses at the same time, including Hercules, guys. Put this into consideration. It was a strain, but yo, Darkstar ain't no joke. Iceman, an Omega level mutant. Hercules, somebody that can literally punch and literally shake the universe. That's why I say there's implications he's a powerhouse. You see all them powerhouses she was able to contain, but yet Sunfire by himself was able to bust out of her grip with his blast. Sunfire is breaking out of Darkstar's constructs. She's a being that has powers that's been stated to have power without limit. Daredevil states she has incredible power. Stated she's a mutant that commands an unmeasurable source of power called the Dark Force. This is coming from one of the smartest mutants, Beast. Matter of fact, Storm even agrees. That's why Sunfire busting out is insane. So with all this blast power I went over, he's breaking out of restraints of beings that can shoot, from beings like Hercules, beings that can shake the universe and stuff. He's shooting or breaking out of constructs from opponents that can shield from Hercules. He has to be a higher end. When you see that they're comparing him to other high ends, like he's literally in the same category with Magneto in this particular situation, Polaris, Storm, Iceman, Cable, Bishop, Colossus. Even though in this particular situation they did kind of make a mistake, they called some of these mutants alpha level mutants. We know Storm and Iceman aren't alpha level, they're omega level, but bare minimally, Sunfire should at least be an alpha level based on this particular situation, comparing them to the powerhouse mutants. I mean, you see him right here, dubbed as alpha level. Yeah, he's in the bubble with them. Yeah. So when they say he's a living star, it's almost like you should take this part literally. On top of all this mess, he can fight pretty fast, more than you would expect. I mean, sure, he can fly at 300 miles per hour. You can say he can mix this in with his fighting speed. He can fly at you at this fast speed. And even when his back's turned in like a situation like this, he's still blasting before he can strike. Believe it or not, there are occasions where he's completely depowered, saying he doesn't have any sun power. He's still not slow. He can avoid attacks from like Ultimo still. But when he is powered up, it's stated that even Cyclops is no match for his speed. You know, the X-Men, all these attacks he can avoid. Other flyer type mutants have issues hitting him. His maneuverability is that good. Do you think he's the scariest fire energy projector type character? Like literally every character in existence in Marvel, he's had temporary power-ups. It's where his legs got cut off by literally Deathstrike. Yes, she's busted. Apocalypse said we're going to make a horseman out of him, so that's where this temporary power-up came from. It's where he became Famine for a little second or two. That's why he looks a little different here. His name is Famine here. But yeah, he doesn't need to be a horseman status to be a beast. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I mean, this guy boxed it out with Kang, so as far as I'm concerned, he has to be a higher end. Even if he's not at the peak of the peak, he's close enough. You know what I mean? Respect Sunfire. But before I get going, do me a favor and like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications so you can join the crew. And Sunfire himself believes it would be weird if I didn't give y'all a thanks for the donations. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.